Welcome back to What She Said Sports. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We were live back to back yesterday with two games, 6 hours of talking, but it was fun. Videos, the live streams were well received, so we'll be doing that again. Y'all know what's coming up. Y'all know what's happening. Cleveland Browns getting ready to name a starter. People feel like, duh, it's Joe Flacco. And again, a lot of people don't have a problem with Joe Flacco starting. He brings the veteran experience. In fact, I just saw a snippet of I guess before this game in Philly, coming out of the tunnel together, getting ready to warm up, was a trio. Shedeur to the left and Joku in the middle and Flacco on the right. And people were like, this looks scripted. And y'all know that Flacco was asking Shedeur, how he was doing, went over, talked to him. Y'all know Njoku was warming up with him when he was, making throws. Now, I mentioned that last weekend, they were already trying to talk about this game because they knew Shedeur was out and they were trying to keep the momentum going, right? So last week, they were talking about Shedeur going to play. Well, Stefanski has said that this is a dress rehearsal. And this is going to be like, like a true game scenario. They're not trying anybody out. I think he said that they're going, I don't know if he said it directly, but they're going to trim the QB roster because they have too many. I mean, if you look right here, right? If you look right here in front of you, it's obvious they have way too many quarterbacks. Deshaun isn't even on here. It's just way too many people. Now, what I hope he's not doing is playing in people's faces, saying we're going to cut somebody and they only cut Huntley. Because I'm just going to be honest with you. My ranking for the QBs, Huntley's on it. I did a QB ranking of what it really should be based on talent. If we're not doing race-based Q quarterbacking or whatever, being a quarterback, who the quarterback is and preference, if you take all that out of the way, to be honest with you, right? Huntley is on the list. I have Shedeur Sanders as QB1 because he's the best QB that they have. Yes, I know Flacco has veteran experience, but I can't make him QB1 because technically he's part-time. And I know Cleveland, and I watched the Saints game and saw the same thing happen there with these mid QBs. They're trying to check down their way to the Super Bowl or check down their way through the season. Some of them don't even have Super Bowl aspirations. And I think the projection for Cleveland is 3-14. So with Cleveland saying they want to get their franchise QB next year, I don't even think they have a successful season aspirations. I think they brought Joe back to try it, because he was there when they were, making a bid for going into the playoffs, but he got injured. That's where Pickett comes in. Now, people think that Pickett will be traded. I don't. If you pay attention to who they make and compete, it's really just Dylan and Shedeur. And even after Shedeur is the better of the QB between the two, Browns media is what? Browns media is asking people who's the better QB. They getting chewed up in the comments. People are like, it's not even close, but that means they want to continue on. And even before this game, through Albert Breer, the Browns put it out, knowing that Dylan isn't better than Shedeur. They were setting it up for what they're doing now. Well, we know Shedeur is the best, but we feel more comfortable with Dylan. So that leaves some people to believe that Shedeur is going to be cut. And that actually excites a lot of fans that are cheering for Shedeur, regardless of who their allegiance is to what team or what league. They feel like Shedeur is better off away from Cleveland. And Cleveland is toxic, and I agree. But my QB roster has Shedeur at the 1, Flacco at the 2 with an asterisk, good for 6, 7, or 8 games at the max. Third on the list, I don't even know if I had Pickett on there, but I might have left him on there. Fourth is Huntley. Huntley can compete with Pickett for the 3 and 4. Dylan is not on the list. What Cleveland does not want to say is they wasted a 3rd-round pick on Dylan. And they did. They wasted a 3rd-round pick and could have had an O-lineman, right? Andrew Berry prides himself on getting players when they're vulnerable, getting them for cheap because you have off-the-field issues like Isaiah Bond or Quinshon Junkins, right? But Shedeur didn't have off-the-field issues. The owners took him off the board. But they used that as an excuse to say nobody wanted him Therefore, we're gonna get you for cheap, and maybe just sit you there because we have a plan and you're not a part of it. What was their plan? Look at the three quarterbacks who they have ahead of Shedeur. Check down, check down, check down. Kenny Pickett is injury prone. If he can play, maybe he's the one that can air it out for them. Don't know because he's injury prone. He's been injured most of training camp, right? Then they have Flacco, who's, if you want to get him past 6, 7, or 8 games, you're going to have to check down, hand off to the running back. Dillon, they used the same game plan for Dillon they tried to use with Tyler Shaw. Check down, check down, check down. I watched Jackson Dart play. A little bit of a check down. They didn't really let him air it out, but he has a fast pass through the middle. So they did a combination for him. But the guys that really aren't good, check down, check down, check down, hand off to the running back, and the kicking team gets a lot of love. Isn't that what happened with Cleveland? So Dillon really is not an option. It's just Stefanski and must have something, some type of allegiance to somebody, or lost a bet, because Dillon, they wasted a third round pick. They needed an O lineman, they needed a receiver. They should have gotten it. But the fact that they got 2 running backs tells you that they just were going to check down their way. And Dillon really didn't have a purpose because he was 3rd on the depth chart. So that's why they're like, we're not giving Shedeur first team reps because he has no purpose, right? If we're going to get anybody ready, it's going to be Dillon. Check down, check down, check down, right? But see, this is what Dillon messed up. Dillon messed up because when you talk around children and say things that are negative about people, what happens? They often repeat it and embarrass you and get you in trouble. So Dillon being gaslit, all y'all know about Dan Lanning, right? Colorado plays for clicks, right? That's his problem. But then he comes over to Cleveland and they fill his head up with air. We pivoted away from Shedeur. We're going to get you instead. We're going to take you 3rd. Yeah, we know you were going to be undrafted free agent, but now we're going to get you 3rd. They're building him up in his head. He really thinks he's better than Shedeur, because even when Shedeur is better than Dillon, they've made Dillon the teacher's pet. They've made Dillon the preference. They've been talking around Dillon. I listened to his interview. He just basically was trying to say there's different types of people when it comes to being a quarterback, and he's a competitor. But when people slammed him because they realized he was saying, I guess Shedeur playing for clicks, he tried to backpedal and say he was talking about the media. When has the media ever been entertainers? Nobody was talking about the media. They asked you, how do you stay focused? And you made a comparison. There's entertainers and there's, I'm a competitor. So they're asking you how you stay focused. They didn't ask you how the media stay focused. He's comparing himself to other quarterbacks. See, Dillon is that guy that's not good. They gaslit him and they using him to block Shedeur, but he has believed it. He knows he's their preference. When you come out and say, when Shedeur balls out, Dillon is who we're more comfortable with, he fed into it. And that's what it is. And he can't deny it. He wants to deny it. I mean, whatever happens to him going forward on that field, he get what he get. He get what he get because his game wasn't good. You would say something like that if you're good. But see, Dillon knows he doesn't have to be good. He's bought into it. They're going to keep me anyway. They know I'm better than Shedeur, but they still want me. They don't like him. Maybe they said he was an entertainer. Maybe they said, I remember what your coach said, certain people play for clicks. You know, people naturally gravitate towards Shedeur. The cameras come around him. That's what he's talking about. He just won't admit it. And it started, and people like, well, he wasn't at Oregon. Yeah, but Dan Lanning was his coach. And he know what Dan Lanning said, and he all but repeated it. And then he comes over here, and the despicable way that Kevin Stefanski treats Shedeur just feeds right into it. And that's what happened when you prop people up. We talked about when Mason Graham came to camp. He was sharing his lunch with everybody on the field. He didn't need to work out and be in shape because they picked him first. So I'm good like I am. That's what happens when you prop people up. They believe it. They believe it. They get a little arrogant. They get a little cocky, and they know they don't have to win. They know they don't have to be good. I'm in front of Shedeur, and he the best quarterback coming out. Cleveland was going to get him at their number 2 for $46 million. They changed their mind. They want me. They taking him out on the golf course in the media. Stefanski, Dylan is his favorite. They talking down on Shedeur. He's repeating it. He know he don't even have to be good. They willing to dumb the game down and give him check downs and let the kickers and the running backs, them wide receivers gonna be upset. And that tell you why they didn't go get no wide receivers, because they knew what they was gonna do. The way this game played out for Dylan is how they expected to go with Dylan. If Flacco is out, if Dylan gets any playing time, it will be super boring. It's just going to be check downs. He's not going to score, but everybody around him is. The wide receiver's going to be upset, and the defense going to have to win the game. That's what they plan for. So when it comes to who's going to make the roster, when it comes to, are they cutting Shedeur? Personally, I think they're going to keep Dylan, Shedeur, Flacco, and Pickett. Some people say 4 is too many. Some people say 4 is too many. So I did a poll to ask who people thought should be cut. Let's take a look. So people feel like with week 2, preseason almost a wrap, Browns will have to cut a QB. Who should the Browns trade away, right? Huntley is on here, and he actually got some votes to trade Tyler Huntley. I put Huntley on here because honestly, he's actually better than Dylan. Tyler Huntley is better than Dylan, right? Trade Shedeur Sanders. 35% of the people want Shedeur traded. Now, the reason people want Shedeur traded is not because he's not a good quarterback. The franchise is toxic. The organization is toxic. They're not serious about winning, and they're playing these games, and they're being openly discriminatory against Shedeur Sanders. So they choose not to recognize Shedeur's talent. They don't want to capitalize off of it. They just want to bury him on the end of the depth chart. He's too good for that. That's why people, 35%, want Shedeur traded. And then trade Dylan Gabriel. People want Dylan Gabriel, 56% want him traded because he's not good. 56% of people want Dylan Gabriel traded because he's not good. So about 85, 88 people took this poll. That's a good sample size, right? And it just went out on to the public on social media, and anybody could answer it. And this is how people feel. This is just how people feel. Dylan was a waste. Third pick, that was a waste. That was a waste. But when you look at who they drafted first and second, when you look at the fact that who they gave the money to, Mason Graham first, Carson Schlesinger second, everybody else started to kind of fall in there. When you look at how they get their players, you look at who Andrew Berry takes advantage of the situations that they're in, right? Isaiah Bond, he probably just happened to be on the team. Dylan Gabriel, he just probably happened to be on the team, but that's Stefanski's pick. Quinshon Judkins, he just going to be happy to be on the team. Shedeur Sanders, happy to get traded, happy to get picked up after being left out to dry, right? That's what Andrew Berry does best. Take advantage of players who are vulnerable. But did Shedeur have any off the field issues? No. The owners took him off the board. And that's not something Shedeur Sanders should pay for. That's something the owners should pay for. The NFL, we know, took a big part in what took place with Shedeur, whether it was giving out his phone number to 2,000 people, all the owners banded against him and took him off the board. Having the NFL Network to aggressively defame and disparage Shedeur, did a hit job on him. And then today, Shedeur Sanders is, I guess, listed along with like Jackson Dart and Cam Ward and Saquon Barkley as one of the faces of the NFL shop. And, you know, people are like, this is influence. I'm like, this is exploitation. This is exploitation. I'm going to trash you. I don't respect your QB skills. I'm going to let this team trash you, but I'm going to put you first. If you read from left to right, because that's how you read, I'm going to put you first on the NFL shop and I'm going to make money off of you. That's not influence. That is exploitation. So that's what they use him for. So don't be surprised if he's still on the roster because he's still going to sell jerseys. Yes, I know he gets a percentage of his sales. It has not been disclosed how much. and we don't know when, and we don't know when he gets paid. We don't know if he get a monthly check, if it come at the end of the season. Hell, they signing bonuses don't get paid till December. Nobody gets paid till September. So I don't think it's right now. The question is, if he gets cut or waived, does he still get paid? I don't know the answer to the question. But I know they see him as somebody to make money from, somebody to exploit for something, and they're not interested in his QB1 talent. So I think he's gonna be there. Remember, Andrew Berry likes to capitalize off of these situations. I got you for cheap. I'm gonna sell you high. That's Andrew Berry's part in this. People say Andrew Berry was Shedeur was his pick. No, he wasn't. He was forced there. And he gonna sit there until them owners decide he could move, because that's who took him off the board. That's why he's in Cleveland. Andrew Berry did not have the authority to override 32 NFL owners to draft Shedeur, who was not on the board. So right now, he's just something for the NFL to exploit. Remember, the NFL is being sued following the draft. So they got to get on their P's and Q's and make it appear that they don't have no ill intent towards Shedeur. So if he's on my website, if I'm constantly posted about him, then, they're going to have to come up with another explanation in the draft, right? Don't forget, 2 open lawsuits for racial discrimination against the NFL. One of them directly related to the draft. The other one mentions the quarterbacks being discriminated against. Don't forget. So y'all can drop in the comments who y'all think is getting cut. Most people say it should be Dillon. I agree. Personally, I think Huntley should stay. I think Huntley is a better QB. I think Huntley can compete with Pickett. I feel like Huntley got a raw deal last year. I think as a black quarterback, he got devalued because that's just what happens. That's what they do, right? And I mentioned to y'all, I felt like the Carolina Panthers were crushing on Shedeur. And I said, well, Andy Dalton, is not a solution. Come to find out, Andy Dalton is injured, elbow injury. So they went and got a player who plays quarterback, also named Bryce, last name Perkins. Y'all may know this guy. I think he played for Virginia. He is the son and I think the nephew of 2 NFL players before him. They did not draft him. I read his draft prospect score. They gave him a 5, which meant he could be a backup. In the draft, they didn't draft him at all. He went undrafted free agent. They sent him to the Rams. At some point, he ended up in the UFL. He became an MVP in the UFL. He took Virginia to the ACC title game. Yeah. He started out at JUCO. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. And likely not due to any off the field issues, but likely due to what? The black quarterback's road is harder. Look at how hard it was for Cam. Cam Ward's father quit his job to help Cam because nobody was giving Cam Ward looks. He just went number 1 in the draft. And he got to compete. So his road is still harder than his counterparts. So Bryce Perkins is now 4th on the depth chart after being snubbed by the NFL coming out of college, after taking his team to a title game, after a JUCO beginning and becoming a UFL champ. Now, that's the second time I've seen the NFL treat the UFL like a G League. So let me tell you what that's about, okay? Somebody said it best. Well, hell, I don't need a franchise QB if I could just run over to the UFL and just get somebody. What did I say? Andrew Berry likes to exploit people who are vulnerable. You wanted to play in the NFL. They denied you. It's been 5 years. You're a UFL champ. So you were successful before the NFL. You were a champ before the NFL. You were a champ in the UFL. You've been on the outside looking in. They didn't draft you. They made you undrafted free agent. They cut you. You go on to be a champ. I know you want back in. So instead of going with their 3rd string person that's already on their depth chart, or I don't know, maybe since Andy Dalton wasn't good last year in the draft, I could have just got a Dylan Gabriel, right? I went to the UFL and got somebody a quarterback for cheap. Is he going to get paid before the first game check? Is he on the roster for sure? Because it's 2 open racial discrimination cases, one with a quarterback in the draft, and one mentions the quarterbacks. He's a quarterback. Just like David Carr retired and blocked Shedeur. You know the NFL is on this 17-32, right? So next year's draft, I already told you, the top 4 are all white. So I can let these black QBs that I want to devalue, I can just let them fall. Like Shedeur, who was going to go undrafted, like Bryce Perkins. Shedeur was successful. Bryce Perkins was successful. Didn't get drafted, became an undrafted free agent, got put on a team, got waived. What was said in that email? Shedeur Sanders' phone number sent out to 2,000 people by the NFL. That means everybody for all 32 franchises knew what was going on. A waiver wire was attached. So if Shedeur gets cut, this was always the plan. Because who gonna check me, boo? That's the sentiment of the NFL. At the same time, I got the media doing stuff to take precaution to look like I'm not what? I put in racism back in the end zone after I took it out in February. Then I go get this quarterback of all positions. I go get a quarterback from the UFL to put on the Carolinas after the Carolinas was already making googly eyes at Shedeur, but they weren't going to get him for no 4th round pick. One thing about Andrew Berry, he going to draft low and sell high. So that kept that from happening. That Shedeur is walking out the tunnel with Flacco, who's obviously embraced Shedeur as some part of that roster, with Njoku. Haven't seen Myles Garrett, but I know he embraces Shedeur. So, right? That locker room going to be in shambles. That locker room is going to be in shambles. People want to know who's going to get cut. I want to know how long it's going to be before Stefanski loses the locker room with this whole Dillon situation. Because what did Stefanski do? Blame everybody else for Dillon's failures. That's not going to go over well. Giving Dillon the credit for the game when, in fact, the kickers and the punters deserve the credit. Whoever got 10 points on the kicking team deserve the credit. Whoever on the secondary that got an interception and a touchdown, that's who deserved the credit. The running back, that's who deserved the credit. That's how you lose a locker room. He already not going to help us win. The wide receiver's going to be upset because all they seen is check down, check down, check down. The kicker's going to get all the love, but then everybody going to get the blame if Dillon doesn't do well. How long before Stefanski loses the locker room? This is the hill he has chosen to die on regarding his career. Dillon Gabriel, a 3rd round pick that they should have used for a wide receiver or an O-lineman. Even if you didn't want to get another wide receiver because you want a heavy run game, then guess what you should have got? An O-lineman to protect the run. Tell me I'm wrong. So Bryce Perkins, reading his draft profile, the first thing they were talking about is who he's related to. I said, sound like Shedeur, right? And DNA typically works for a lot of people. Like Randy Moss' son got a tryout with the team that Randy Moss played for, which meant Shiloh should have got a tryout with the Falcons. And this happens all the time. I think I just saw where Terrell Owens has a son named Tariq. He playing with whoever playing today, which is the Bills and the Bears. Unless I was watching highlights. He got a tryout. He on a team. But Coach Prime's son, the quarterback one, his road is made harder. He's devalued. He was supposed to go undrafted and then land on a team, and they put him on waivers. Maybe that's what Kevin Stefanski meant when he said, we're going to have to put him down for a little bit. Maybe they're talking about cutting Shedeur because he had the oblique injury, even though it wasn't serious. But it's a reason. When I read Perkins' story, I said, this was supposed to be Shedeur. All this man's DNA, his athleticism, he's a dual threat quarterback, was supposed to come out in 2020. They had 7 rounds in undrafted free agent. They didn't get him in any rounds. They made him undrafted free agent, cut him, send him to the UFL. He goes over there and he balls out. What did we say Shedeur would do if he goes to Canada? Ball out. What did I say? Coach Prime got to get that pipeline from CU to the CFL. Shedeur did his absolute best, and it's still not good enough. We're more comfortable with Dylan. Yet I don't hear anybody making a trade for him. Well, hell, since you got Dylan and Shedeur, let me get one of them. Dylan's trade value, okay, is that of a 6th round. They could probably get a late first or a second round for Shedeur. One thing the Cleveland Browns can't do, 2 things. You can't convince that locker room that Dylan is better than Shedeur because they already know. Look at who's gravitated towards him. Flacco. All your ones in Joku. Now they're talking about the Deontay Johnson. He's failing. I'm like, The lengths Stefanski is going through to prop up Shedeur. When you read Perkins' story, his strength and his weaknesses. And at one point, his bio ended with, something about his skill set being able to transition to another position. When it comes to these dual threats, because that's what he's described as late as 2020, they were still trying to change their positions. The last person I heard before that was Lamar Jackson. And people say, or Andrew Berry said, Shedeur Sanders' skill set was outdated. But you don't want no dual threat quarterbacks that are black either. You just don't want black quarterbacks. So what you going to do going forward in the next draft, in the next one, you're not going to take these black quarterbacks high unless they could go to teams like Cleveland. That's going to make sure that they don't have a fair opportunity. You're going to go get them from the UFL. Sparingly. Like you did this young man. And then you put him 4th string on the depth chart at a time when nobody's being paid. He just happy to be there. We don't even know if he going to make it to the first game check because they could just cut him. They could just cut him. Somebody said, can you please explain this transaction in NBA terms? I said, the Carolina Panthers went to the G League and got them a player with possible 10-day contract. Oh, okay. Because the first string guy struggled today because he did. He struggled against, was it yesterday or today? The Jaguars. He struggled a little bit. He went 0-2. And that was yesterday. Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young went 0-2 and he was sacked. And I was like, this is not a good look. And then they lost the game blowout, right, to the Browns. So I think saying Andy Dalton's elbow is injured is an excuse. I think a lot of injuries or excuses. I'm not sure a lot of these people are actually injured. Andy Dalton wasn't a good solution anyway. So why, with the draft just passing by, did you just not get a true QB2 from it? You could have got somebody you could have got Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Well, maybe not him, but somebody else. Kyle McCord. You could have got somebody else. But see, that's what they want to do now. They want to devalue these quarterbacks, get their lightning in a bottle, hope and pray and work out, and injury to determine who gets to the front, create all these competitions that truly don't matter. And not even worried. Not even worry about the Super Bowl. I don't think it's on any of their radars at all. Everybody want what Jerry Jones has. All the media is saying today about Jerry Jones is he's a dark cloud over the Cowboys. And fans can't wait till he move on. I don't hear them holding him accountable. I don't. I watched the Saints and the Jaguars. Travis was out. Travis catching major heat. Travis is out. We're probably going to touch on that a little bit because, Lord, I hope he ain't watching any social media. I continued to watch the game. I was like, I don't know why I'm watching this. But then I said, okay, that's right. We have Cameron McCraig and we have BJ Green. I saw BJ Green on the field. I saw him get a tackle. I did not see Cameron Silvercraig. I thought he was wearing 31 or 37. Turned out he was wearing 32, and his stats was still sitting at 0 at the end. But what I did see, when that game got to 7 minutes and 32 seconds, that was the most boring, difficult game to watch. And they were doing the same thing with Trevor Lawrence and Tyler Shaw that they did with Dylan. Check down, check down, check down. Let's talk about the yards. See, the check down gives them completions. Attempts and completions look good, right? That's what they want these mediocre QBs to do. And then they put their stats on the screen. But then Spencer Rattler came out there. He lit it up. And he wears a number 2. And he was looking like Shedeur. I said, that's a damn shame that they even have Spencer Rattler competing with Tyler Shaw. They also didn't need to get Tyler Shaw. And if so, you shouldn't be saying he's the starter. Tyler Shaw should be a developmental project because he is. He's uncomfortable with getting sacked. All of them are. Jackson Dart had a lot of checkdowns too. Why? Because he don't want to get sacked either. So what they do is have him step out the pocket and quickly throw it right here to a tight end. That way he don't have to deal with the pressure. That's Tyler Shaw's problem. His problem is so bad, he panics and falls on the ground. Spencer Rattler lit it up, 45-yard passes. One was a touchdown. The fans were standing on their feet. When Tyler Shaw, that was Spencer Rattler. When Tyler Shaw was playing, I even said it. I said, I feel like I can hear a pin drop in New Orleans. That's crazy. Nothing really going on. Just the super fans dancing. But I'm like, how y'all dancing and this is bad? Came in there and lit it up and tied up the game. And they really tried to put the stats on the screen to show off all of these check downs. And since I watch multiple games, I see who they're doing it with. When Russell Wilson was playing, he didn't need no check downs. He aired it out. They don't want them to air it out because they're going to throw an interception. Because all three of them, Dylan, Tyler Shaw, and Jackson Dart, are afraid to get sacked. Now, Jackson Dart is not afraid to run in a pile for a 1-yard touchdown. So they mixed it up with him. The game plan for Jackson Dart was a bit of a mix. And of course, fans are like, oh my God, he looks so good. They played 4th string Jets. And nobody said it's just a preseason, calm down. I was like, oh my God, if Cleveland played the New York Giants, I was like, if Shedeur went up in Dallas, it could happen. Joe Milton didn't have a good game. Didn't have a good game at all. So they have ways, check downs, of propping up these players. And that's what you're going to see. And that's what Cleveland wants to do rather than ball out with Shedeur. So I'm one of the fans. If he get traded, I'm not upset. I see all they doing is exploiting him. So, let the chips fall where they may, right? I see the NFL exploiting him. They got 2 open racial discrimination cases. So, they over there performing. That's what it is. It's performative, right? It seems like every time they try to get rid of Shedeur, and that's the proper way to say it, I didn't want you in the draft. I had to draft you. I don't want you to be my QB1, but now the locker room, the key players in the locker room have embraced you. The leaders of the team. Flacco didn't walk out there with Dylan Gabriel. He walked out there with Shedeur. And he went over, he asked Shedeur, was he okay? I think in that Browns game. Maybe it was after he got sacked. I don't know. But Flacco has taken a shine to Shedeur. I don't see him running around with Dylan. Dylan is hedging all of his bets on Kevin Stefanski's preference for him. Kevin Stefanski is betting his job and risking it all on a 3rd-round pick that was a waste, that they had no plans for, that they game plan for him the way they game plan for 41-year-old Flacco. But Flacco can air it out. But if you want Flacco to go past 8 games, check down, going to have to enter the question. They were willing to be boring, like the Saints game was, till Spencer Rattler got in there. And I posted, New Orleans Saints, you have your QB1. This is your QB1. So I don't want to hear no more about Tyler Shaw. He's second on the depth chart. He probably should be third. He probably should be third. So they didn't want Shedeur and Spencer Rattler out there airing it out, looking like Shedeur, wearing the number 2. That's what karma does. You're not going to tell karma what to do. So for those of you that want Shedeur traded, if he manages to stay there, they're not going to be able to keep him at the back of the chart, the depth chart. Because one thing about the NFL, they don't never think about the unexpected. They went and drafted Tyler Shaw in Shedeur's face, as if Tyler Shaw is better than Shedeur, and nobody ever said he was. So how are you going to turn him into a winning quarterback with check downs? And that didn't even work, just like Dylan. And the fans saw straight through it. Then you put Spencer Rattler out there. I said, okay, I see why God didn't send Shedeur to New Orleans, because they did Spencer Rattler dirty. So we're going to fix that first. Shedeur can emerge. He and Flacco through the season. Flacco played 7 games. Shedeur played the rest, just like people predicted from the beginning. But Stefanski is the problem. Stefanski wants to hold up progress. Stefanski thinks he's George C. Wallace, and this is 1963, and Shedeur Sanders is trying to integrate a public school. He is not. But that's the sentiment that Stefanski has as it pertains to Shedeur. Anybody that says regarding an injury with a human being, we're going to have to put him down, has George C. Wallace aspirations like it's 1963. I'm starting to see other people use and call out people as being racist against Shedeur, especially the media. And that's what needs to happen. Because every black quarterback coming after Shedeur's class is going to end up in a situation like Shedeur in Cleveland, Lenore Sellers. Or they going to push you down the depth chart. Or they going to push you down in the draft. And for those guys that's coming out, when they start projecting you to go 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and they give you a 5, you're going to end up in the UFL. And they're going to let you sit over there, and they're going to come and get you for cheap and let you get out there and do something in the summer and cut you before the first game check. I believe there are people taking pleasure in this because we don't want the majority of the quarterbacks to be black. But because we can't be openly racist, we're going to come up with a workaround to devalue you and make sure that you don't get on that field as a starter. Even if we have to check down, hand it off to the running back, even if we lose. So that's what it is. People want to compare the stats. I'm like, I mean, honestly, it's the passer rating for me. 106.8 to 72. And Mary Cabot and others have the audacity to say who was better. Well, numbers don't lie. Dylan Gabriel had a 72 passer rating, and you want to sit up here and prop him up because 13 and 18 don't sound bad? But see, here's the difference. Dylan Gabriel told you who he was going to be right here. He told you he was going to be right here. But you didn't want to believe it. And when Shedeur emerged as the best, even though Shedeur had 60 less reps than Dylan, Shedeur had all of the obstacles in his way. Shedeur had that raggedy skateboard that we talked about with the one wheel in the front on the right and the one wheel in the back on the left. So he rocky, and he still emerged as the best. He had to self-develop himself. He had to endure being ignored and harassed and humiliated and bullied by Kevin Stefanski. With everything Shedeur had to endure before they got to the game, that rogue 4th and 1 pass. Shedeur's out here balling like a pro. And after the game, they're going to be cowardly and send Albert Breer to say, well, the Browns feel more comfortable with Dylan. That's what you feel comfortable with, a 72 passer rating? Then that's what you do. So trade Shedeur Sanders. That never seems to be an option for Cleveland. It's like I just like him being 4th string. This passer rating right here says every single thing that this says right here. This a passer rating of 72 fits for somebody who that had 160 reps with the first team, which meant Dylan had all the opportunity with the first team to get it, and he still didn't. You drafted him in the third round after he was supposed to be an undrafted free agent. But now they got Bryce Perkins, who was an undrafted free agent, and the most he could do is get to fourth on the depth chart after he had to go to the UFL first. That's where Dylan should be. That's where Dylan should be. He is not an NFL quarterback. Fans are not gonna sit by and watch you check down throughout the season, have a 72% passer rating, and you get rid of the best player that you have. Shedeur's passer rating puts him in company with Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And that's facts. You can Google it. And I don't want to hear it's just preseason, because they over there ready to kick Russell Wilson out and start Jackson Dart off of some check downs, and careful, right through the middle. No airing it out and running in 1 yard against the fourth string Jets. When you look at Russell Wilson play and Jackson Dart play, it's like night and day. Now, Jackson Dart is okay. I think he has the swagger and the confidence. He doesn't look weak when he plays. Tyler Shaw looks scared to death. He don't want to get sacked. He fell down trying not to get sacked. Not trying to get out and get to the side and find somebody to throw to, something we see Juju do, something we see Caden. We see all CU quarterbacks throw on the move. I'm trying to run for dear life to get out the sideline so they don't hit me. That's up here. I haven't seen Jackson Dart in that situation, but I do see check downs. I do see a quick pass through in the middle. I do see a 1 yard run into the end zone. I see that. So missed me with he was impressive. He played the Jets' fourth string. You know who was impressive? Mr. 106.8 passer rating against the ones, 9-year veterans. Leggett was on the field at one point for Carolina. Their linemen, their defensive linemen were vets. And Kevin Stefanski had him set up to get sacked. And if you get sacked, you could get hurt. So to me, he had him set up to potentially get hurt. And now he want to go into the game next week. Everybody going to want to see Shedeur. Oh, it's like a pro style, dress rehearsal. Then play who you want to play. Because in my opinion, since they cheated Shedeur, he's done enough. Shedeur has done enough that teams should be knocking. And the longer they don't knock, it just proves collusion. And don't forget, there are 2 open cases of racial discrimination against the NFL. And the NFL running out and get a player that they snubbed 5 years ago and bringing him back. So cut him before he get the first check, just like Huntley, just like Perkins. You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling nobody. That's just like you running out and putting end zone in racism back in the end zone. Like Christmas lights. Because why? Because Brian Flores' case moved forward. See, they wasn't expecting that. And I'm sure they're lobbying hard to make sure it don't get to a jury. But then there's another case that's out there. And they keep playing in Shedeur face, and another one will pop up. Then that's going to be 3. And when people realize that this is the route to go, people going to start suing these teams individually. People asking, who had the better game? Just want to hit himself talk. 106.8 in the company of Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. But I said he played like Pat Mahomes. I said that. Andrew Berry said he has retro style QB skills, which means he's outdated. But he got 41-year-old Joe Flacco on his roster in Cleveland with up to $13 million in incentives. So look at who they willing to pay. And look at whose face they willing to play in. Look at who they willing to get for cheap, because you got off the field issues. Hell, maybe people need to start asking how these off the field issues really be coming about. Because it's crazy to read that Quishon Junkins case. The prosecutor said, this little weird, insufficient evidence, but the NFL want to keep investigating. Excuse me, is it because he held out and this is retaliation? They are retaliatory. They are retaliatory. Why you want to keep looking at the prosecutor saying there's nothing else there? Because he held out. And people are like, ooh, Andrew Berry deserves all the credit. Look at this roster. And they had Shedeur on there. I say Andrew Berry deserves no credit for devaluing Shedeur after pursuing him for more than 3/4 of the process pre-draft and pivoting to Dylan. The 72.2% passer rate. That just told you that's what they wanted to do all along. They just needed to get Shedeur on the hook so that when the owners took him off the board, he'd fall from the first round, not the second or the third. Because, the higher up, the taller you are, the harder you fall, right? So they propped Shedeur up, lured him in to get him at number 2. And it's hella disgraceful to get picked at 144. But Shedeur is that guy. His family was so happy. DeAndrea did a podcast. She talked about how hurt people were because Shedeur works so hard. I just want God's will to be done. Because I know he's going to take care of Shedeur. But if Shedeur get traded, I'm okay with it. Because if they trade away a 106.8 passer rating that they got for $4 million and he go win somewhere else, then Stefanski gets fired. And that's all I care about. Because he should be fired. Because this right here is ridiculous. If you put Deshaun Watson out there, these are all the quarterbacks. That means you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea of what you're doing, and you're not developing nobody. Huntley came in good to go. Shedeur, good to go. Good to go and develops himself. So to me, I'm just waiting to see what God do. Whatever it is, it's going to be best for Shedeur. If he stay there in 4th place and he don't play this year, good. Because I don't want him to be sacked 68 times or 69 times like some people were already asking. Number 74 already blew his coverage. He better not make the team. He better not make the team. You can't protect your quarterback in the pros. What you doing? And you trotting. Everybody sees it. We've been talking about it. People have been saying it on multiple platforms. He sure did blow his coverage. He sure did blow his coverage. And that's how Shedeur gets sacked. So much so that the other lineman next to him had to go run and try to help him. That's not the way you start off. So let's see if 74 make the team. Dylan not speaking. It's not happenstance what Dylan is saying. When you talk about other people, when you talk down about other people around children, they tend to repeat it and embarrass you. He's been listening to Stefanski, and we already know Dan Lanning blew his head up. I'm sure they've been talking. So let me see what y'all are saying so I can get y'all's thoughts on the polls that we asked about who should be traded. Feel free to drop it in the chat. And again, I'm of the belief that Huntley needs to stay because he's better than Dylan, because I bet Huntley's passer rating is higher than 72.2. So go into the comments. Let me see what y'all talking about. YG Nate said, I always heard the son will pay for the sins of the father, but what's going on with Shedeur is different in all kind of ways. Right. And honestly, and that's true. But honestly, let's be real. If they didn't want Shedeur, they didn't have to draft Shedeur, Nate. See, that's what people are overlooking. You treat him like you don't like him. Then why did Cleveland? Why you get him? Because you didn't have a choice. And Stefanski's pissed off because, Stefanski knows Shedeur is better than Dylan. Gabriel was pre-draft with just like Shedeur, right? But Shedeur was 3/4 of the way. And then they quietly pivoted to Dylan and didn't want to tell nobody about it. Why? They wanted people to still think that they were going to get Shedeur, and then they pretended they want to get Shedeur and Travis. There are people that don't forgive them for passing up on Shedeur and Travis. You didn't want Shedeur. You didn't want Travis. You didn't want Shedeur and Travis. You wanted to get Dylan because you didn't expect much from him. They got Pickett first. Then they got Flacco. So they kind of knew Dylan was going to be in the middle. But the problem is that's Stefanski's guy. And I don't want Shedeur in front of Dylan. And the owner and Stefanski don't want Shedeur as the franchise QB. But now, see, it's different because now the players are coming around, right? And they having a bit of a hiccup with their new stadium. And then they can't toss out the Art Modell law. And then after the owner stuck his foot in his mouth, what happened? They had to get a new president of their sports group. Well, let me see Stefanski and Barry try to get rid of Shedeur with a passer rating of 106 to keep him from Dillon. And if the NFL don't find another team for him to go on, they gonna have another problem. They already got two of them out there. And if he go to another team and ball out, Stefanski gonna get fired. And Barry too. Because see, the whole point of Barry's cheating Shedeur, devaluing him, oh, we're gonna get you for cheap. We talked you down. We basically said your skill set outdated. So we got you for cheap. He's not gonna give him away for cheap unless he has absolutely no choice. I told you a trade will be forced for Shedeur if it happens at all. And if they crazy enough to waive him with these these racial discrimination case out here, and one of them just got the green light to go to court, it's going to be another one. That's crazy. Shedeur is too good. And they know it. They're not even saying Dillon is better than Shedeur within the organization. We're more comfortable with Shedeur. That is Stefanski's doing. Let me see how that locker room feel about having a 106.8 QBR rated bench for check down at 72%. So what's happening to Shedeur has happened to other guys. Just looking at other black players, just looking at the draft prospect profile for Bryce Perkins tells you it happens all the time. When you have a dual threat QB or a pocket passer QB, and that's why they tried to say Shedeur could use his legs, because they wanted to pretend that they prefer to Lamar Jackson's, but they done colluded against Lamar Jackson 3 times. Perkins should have been drafted. Hell, if Kyle McCord or Quinn Ewers could get drafted in the 6th round, you trying to tell me this dual threat that took his team to a title game can't make your roster? They turn away, draft and destroy more black QBs because there's nowhere else perceivably for them to go. And a lot of them don't want to go to Canada. Teddy Bridgewater is good. For the second time, I watched Teddy Bridgewater ball out. They talking about he's getting ready to complete the rainbow because he done been on like 9 NFL teams. One of them is the Saints. It wouldn't surprise me if Cleveland is in that mix too. They just passing him around. That's what they plan to do with Shedeur. But their plans with Shedeur keep failing. This has nothing to do with Coach Prime. Here it is, another quarterback, successful in college, snubbed in the draft, goes to another league. He balls out. Then they go back and get him to make him 4th string on the roster when ain't nobody got paid yet. We don't know how long he going to be there. He could get cut before the first game check, which meant optics. Just optics. And his last name is not Sanders. And Coach Prime is not any sort of kind of relative at all to him. Because this is what they do. And they want to treat Shedeur the same way. But the hiccup is Shedeur is famous. 3 million people showing up. Hell, it's probably more than that now. Calling them out daily, including Cleveland, especially asking stupid questions as to who had the better game when the numbers are right here in front of you. So this ain't about Shedeur. This is technically a 3rd racial discrimination case that should be sent directly to the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski is mimicking his boss, Haslam, who didn't care about his words regarding Shedeur. People called him out. Kevin Stefanski is not watching his own words. Now that Dillon is out here running and telling what he been hearing. Like he really good. Oh, I'm like, y'all got him gassed up. I'm like, y'all really got him gassed up. So I think they're going to keep all 4 of them. Pickett, Flacco, Dillon, and Shedeur, because they can't cut Shedeur. They're not cutting Shedeur. I mean, you can, but you really want to risk your job? Because he's going to go somewhere and ball out. The best thing for them to do based on what they got going on is to keep him right there in Cleveland. And they better hope and pray Flacco holds up and injury-prone Pickett Because we know Dylan gonna get out there and check down and get bust upside the head when it comes to a real team, right? When it comes to a real team, Philadelphia, it was documented, it was supposed to start day one. They went easy on Dylan. I wonder whose idea that was. I read it. It said Philadelphia Nick Sirianni is going to start his ones in a preseason game because he's using this game to see if the players have the readiness that's necessary to compete for the season. They try to get back to the Super Bowl. The only reason they backed off is likely because Stefanski or somebody inside the Browns organization asked them. And do not forget, Andrew Berry has a twin brother within the organization that is the vice president of strategy, a vice president of football operations and strategy. That's exactly how that DTR Kenny Pickett trade went down. So somebody talked to somebody on behalf of Dylan, and they didn't play their ones. They propped him up to the fullest. That is not a real game scenario. They say they're playing a real game scenario for the Rams, right? Then put him out there with a real team against the real ones that are going to play in the game and see what happened, because they manufactured a game environment. They actually had Dylan play in a simulated football game, not a real football game. Shedeur played in a real football game because he played against the ones. So that's what they have to do for Dylan. In my personal opinion, like I said, there's two groups of people they can't fool. The players, which why you see Flacco walking out there with Shedeur, because he like, I ain't gonna never hit the 13 million with him. And he not. And Pickett is injured. So that means Dylan's next. So Flacco is like showing it. It needs to be this dude right here. Right? The other group is another team in the trade. Dylan's trade value. You are not going to convince no other team that he going to get a 6th rounder for him. You see this number right here? You see this rating right here? They see it too. Kevin Stefanski has all but toasted Dylan's trade value. First with the 4-19, 3-16, 4-19. Now it was 1-5. Now he got a 72% passer rating. This is what they care about right here. They know 13-18 was a lot of checkdowns. They know he didn't score. They know he threw an interception. They know he fumbled. And all Kevin Stefanski gonna do after torching this young man's draft stock, they gonna have to keep him. They can't trade him. But somebody should be calling for Shedeur. But if that don't happen, it's okay. Because Shedeur gonna still get to the front. Everything they've tried to do, they have been unsuccessful at. That's my point with Shedeur. You're not gonna convince the team that he's not the best. You're not gonna convince nobody that Dylan's trade value is that of a 3rd string. No. 3rd round. No. It's toast. 72% passer rating versus 106. And the media is just talking to hear themselves talk and just spinning it. And nobody's buying it because we can see. We can see. So that's what it is, Nate. You know, Coach Prime is not Shedeur's. Coach Prime is not Perkins. Is that his name? Bryce Perkins' dad. He's not Lamar Jackson's dad. Hell, he not Russell Wilson's dad. You got to look at the overall picture and know your Black NFL quarterback history, because it's ugly. It's ugly. And the NFL is just performative when it comes to them. Only when their coattails get pulled. Racism would not be in the end zone if Brian Flores' lawsuit didn't move forward and get the green light to go to a jury trial. Why did you take it out in February if you just going to put it back in August? They said they had a new campaign called Love Wins. Well, they abandoned that real fast. So they can hear. Make them hear your voice. So thank you, Nate. All right, we're going to move on in the chat and see what we have going on. It said, so yeah, the Super Bowl, ain't nobody worried about that now. That's sad. The people there are a few teams that want to win, but like the bottom feeder teams, nope. They on something else. They on something else. And that's just the sad part, right? All right, I'm trying to get to the top of the comments. Okay, here y'all go. It's a lot of comments, so give me a second. I'm just trying to get to the top of the thread so I can go through it. Almost there. Amber said Huntley. Let's see. It said he will definitely die on that hill. Stefanski, yeah. And that's good. That's good. It's like he's stuck on stupid. And I'm not being funny. Like that's a real thing, right? There are people, sometimes they do so much bad. When they want to turn away from it, they can't. Why? Because when you tell one lie, you have to tell another. They messed up in the draft. That's why they didn't look happy when Shedeur had to go there. That's how you know they didn't draft him. They wouldn't have drafted him. And people feel like, Andrew Berry is Shedeur is Andrew Berry's guy. I'm like, nope. I'm like, you're not paying attention if you think that. That means you don't know what happened before the draft. And I'm sure Andrew Berry wanted Shedeur to think that, but nah. Shedeur knows best because he pre-draft with them. Hey Tina, how you doing? Hey B Thomas. Hey Sharon, how you doing? It says Stefanski and Dylan Gabriel are both busters. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. It said, if Shedeur Sanders is not QB2, yep, the Cleveland Browns, William Anderson, let it go, let it go, let it go. Y'all hit the like button for me. There are 373 of us. Hit the like button for me. Hey Bridget, how you doing? How you doing? It says Shedeur, Flacco, Pickett, Huntley, and Watson. Okay, see truth. So that's your roster. You got Shedeur, part-time Flacco. Okay, Pickett. I think I had that too. Huntley makes sense, and Watson. Yep. See, Dylan, you don't have a place. Watson is better than Dylan. Huntley is better than Dylan. The only thing I can say about Pickett is he's injury prone, but he's still better than Dylan. Cut Dylan. That's it. Did you see Stefanski kissing and making excuses for Dylan Gabriel? Pick 6, yeah. And see, let me tell you something. The player's not going to like that. The player's not going to like that. And that's the rub. Shedeur wants to win. That's it. Happy Sunday. Hey, Gracie, how you doing? Sharon said, oh, and they were talking about Milton didn't play good yesterday. And they're saying Jerry is not happy with Cleveland getting all the attention. All he got to do is get Shedeur. The path is laid out. It's like a plane getting ready to land on a runway. When I heard Milton, I think I saw some of the game or heard Milton didn't play good. We were talking about it yesterday. I was like, oh, here we go. I said, I guess his fascination with Milton is going to move on. You got the best quarterback just sitting in fourth. And I told y'all, who heard me say, I said, I feel like the Carolina Panthers crushing on Shedeur. They were. They just weren't going to get him from no fourth round pick. That wasn't going to happen. As much as they want to humiliate him, Andrew Berry like, I'm finna get something. And I don't think they want to let him go. I really don't. I think they just want him to sit there. But you got to go to war with your fans for that. And it's not going to happen. After the game, one of the Browns podcasters, a new one, I think, was saying, I have seen nothing from Dylan Gabriel in this game that makes me think he should be in front of Shedeur. I said, ooh, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. It said, could have Travis Hunter and Shedeur. Yep. They could have Travis Hunter, Shedeur, and one more person, I think they said. Shiloh, right? It says Shedeur won't be cut. I don't think so either, Bridget. He definitely not getting waived like they thought because the NFL is definitely trying to make money off the jerseys. And I don't think, I think Jerry Jones. That's what I think. I still go back there. If I can pick up on that the Panthers was crushing on Shedeur and then they run out here and get somebody else, yeah. It might not be today. It might be tomorrow. Unless him and Coach Prime fell out, it don't make sense to me because he's not going to just sit there. So Jerry Jones might as well go get him and do what he likes to do best. And I know the players would love it. I know the players would love it. Now, Cleveland going to have a problem. And that might be another reason why they can't move Shedeur. Look at everybody that has embraced Shedeur. They're all starters. The starters they didn't let Shedeur play with and work out with are embracing him. It said, if the Browns want to go 0-17, it said, if the Browns want to go, it said, no way is he ready or a starter. You don't think Shedeur's a starter? Oh, okay. You got a lot of film you need to catch up on. And just start with the Browns-Panthers game. It said Huntley will be cut. He was only brought in because he was hurt, right? But to me, Huntley is better than Dylan. Huntley was better than Dylan in the game. So he didn't turn it over like that. He didn't fumble it. Huntley is better than Dylan. It said that's Kevin's game, but it's not going to work. Defenses are going to shut Dylan down. Yeah, because they put him in a simulated game and convinced the Philly team not to play their ones because they knew it wasn't gonna work out. So how do you expect him to compete in a real game if you got to back down a team on the opponents so this other guy can look good? And then you already have your lie ready before the game because you know Dylan not gonna look better than Shedeur. They know this. Stefanski knows Shedeur is better than Dylan. I saw a post right after the draft that said it was from somebody that was anonymous. It said Kevin Stefanski don't want Shedeur on the team. He was just sitting up there pretending that he can't hide it no more. He was just pretending the whole time he can't hide it no more. Shedeur is right now top 10 QB in the league. Facts. Facts. And they had Cam at number 8. No, they had Cam at 8 and JJ McCarthy. How is he doing? Because I don't hear nobody talking about him. Now see that right there? That whole JJ McCarthy situation could definitely be used in court. That young man had 0 seconds of NFL film on his first year. They moved Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones elsewhere, which meant he had no pressure behind him. They removed it, right? There was no competition for him. Gave him the keys and ranked him number 9 QB, and they have seen nothing from him at this level. But Shedeur balled out somewhere between Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and it's just a preseason game. And also Cam Ward before he played. It's no guarantee that Cam Ward is going to be the starter. Picking and choosing. Flacco is the starter. You owe it to the veterans on the team to try and compete. So, sending Dylan out there with all these reps, 160 reps, is owing it to no. See, that works for Flacco because he's white. But no. See, if you owe it to the vets, you owe it to yourself to put Shedeur out there with Flacco. Because, again, Pickett is injury prone. And Dylan, they wasted a 3rd round pick. You think the veterans going to be happy if they cut Shedeur or bench Shedeur and put Dylan out there? Nope. Definitely gaslighting. It said, right. Yep, he repeated what he heard. Yeah. Dylan was being like a kid. He already know what and somebody told me tomorrow he wasn't even there at the time. I said he can hear. I'm like, he know what his coach said. See, his head has been filled with air. And Stefanski himself been gaslighting him. So now you put Stefanski buddy, who's Dan Lanning, with Stefanski, and both of them are blowing Dylan's heads up, probably texting him every day. We gonna keep you. We don't like him. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I have no idea. I've never heard anybody say why Stefanski don't like Shedeur, but from what I've seen from Stefanski, yeah. Shedeur might be better off on the bench because if Stefanski was willing to set him up, not just to fail, but to potentially get hurt with that rogue 4-1 play with 70 floorboard on his coverage, he'll have him sacked in his games. So if he on the bench, hey, it's till Stefanski got to get the hell out of there. So, these things, it's all about protection. And when I was watching that Saints game, I said, I see why Shedeur wasn't sit there because Spencer Rattler is good. But you know who else is good? Teddy Bridgewater, and he played for them too. See, the Saints have their QB1. Now let's see them try to wiggle it out the way and try to justify it's Tyler Shaw. He's not good. He was the 8th eighth ranked QB coming out the draft. And they moved him up and thought a miracle was going to happen. But he's older. He likely has maxed out. And I don't even know what he maxed out with because he must have had an O-line in college like Dylan. They all afraid to get sacked like that. All of them. Dylan, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shaw. And somebody said Eli Manning must be working out as a QB coach with Jackson Dart. I'm like, I'm sure he is. Because when they went training camp, he was awful. So he better keep working with him. It said, I also think Kevin and the QB coach are doing the same thing. It said that's why he was so comfortable saying it. Right. And I think the QB coach was in that little video, right? That little documentary where they had Shedeur go first. Yeah. C Truth said the entertainer is the best entertainer and the best QB. The so-called computer or competitor is a buster with a political player who is not even an NFL level player. Right. Yeah, they definitely playing racial politics. Wild Dog Media. It said, I hit the like button on the way in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It said that was clicks and views all over again. Right. And he really, I'm like, so you slow. You didn't think nobody was gonna pick up on that. See, that tell me a lot about you. That tell me a lot about you. You repeated what Dan Lanning said, and likely that's what Kevin Stefanski been over there saying. And you repeated it like a child, and you not smart enough to know that we were gonna pick up on that. Why not? See, that's when people think they're smarter than everybody else. And for him to say that after that bust the game that he played, oh, he confident. He confident he gonna be the guy. That's because that's what they told him. They already told him the plan. They already told him the plan. Nobody else wanted to draft him. That's Stefanski's doing. Stefanski doesn't want to start QB. He wants it to be about how he calls plays for the team. That makes him a whisperer. Yeah, I think they said he couldn't even develop. I don't think he developing anybody, to be honest. He couldn't even develop or work with Baker Mayfield. They said that's why Baker Mayfield wanted out of there. Well, trade Shedeur. Yeah, I agree. Okay, and that's what I mean, right? So people are like, they want to keep Dylan, then trade Shedeur. We good with it, but you don't see that as an option. It's like basically the only option, if you paying attention, is to just keep Dylan in front of Shedeur. We not moving Shedeur up. We gonna leave him right here. I'm like, so nobody else wants it? That's what you're trying to sell us? Just keep paying attention, because what you're witnessing is a confirmation of collusion, and it's tying back to the draft. This is the game that the NFL is playing itself. It's playing itself. They act like we don't know that they sent out Shedeur Sanders' phone number. It's public. They lied on the Falcons. So when people show you who they are, believe it. They playing themselves. Now they got Shedeur plastered all over the NFL shop. They always posting about him, but they forgot the horrible things they said about him. And just because they sold the NFL network to ESPN does not absolve them of what they said during the draft when they own the NFL network. It said Dan and Kevin Stefanski have been trading smack about 12 in front of Dylan. Right. He's just the preference of the day. Right. And Dan Lanning, he just getting some out of it because it's Coach Prime. That's that's what it is. That's what it is. So, I just feel like, that's what it is. It said even Oregon's mascot was talking trash. What? The mascot? Travis in the Heisman race. Lanning embedded Sanders hated deep in the Ducks. Yeah, I agree. I said one day one of those players gonna talk about that. Stefanski and Cleveland do not deserve Shedeur at all. At all. But if God leave him there, it's because he gonna make his way. Dylan Gabriel wouldn't even be drafted. He wouldn't. I'm like, how you go from undrafted to third round? Come on now. And it's funny. When I was reading about Bryce Perkins, it said a lot of his passes were short and predetermined. Check down, check down, check down. But it worked for Dylan. But it worked against Bryce Perkins. Let's see what happens if they ever put him out there. They have one more preseason game. The 2025 draft was all an agenda. It was not even a real draft. It was about the NFL setting the table. Yeah, it wasn't about talent. It was about preference. It was about them trying to also change the rules and change the majority of the quarterbacks, and amongst some other things, who gets paid the most. Look at who Cleveland drafted at the top. Stefanski is coddling Dylan. Right. He making it worse. I wonder if Dylan actually stays and works extra anywhere other than when it looks bad that he doesn't. Like on his own time. It said we see it every day at the workplace. Yup. Dylan also shouldn't have been on the Heisman stage. That's right, Priscilla, because we said it in college. Oh, they used Dylan to block Shedeur from the Heisman stage. And now what are we saying? Okay, it's not a coincidence that Dylan is being used to block Shedeur in the NFL in Cleveland. That's not a coincidence. And we were talking about, Okay, is somebody at CU problematic and we don't know? Was it something somebody said? Because what do we know? We know that Stefanski used to work for Pat Schumer. So we would look in that direction. Then somebody came into the comments, and they might still be here, and said that Dan Lanning is buddies with Stefanski. And I said, there you go. The Heisman in the draft. Yep. So they still trying to hurt Shedeur. And that's why Stefanski treats him like that. Stefanski ignores him. He wants to be about his play calling rather than the QBs. Kevin wants to be a quarterback whisperer. I'm going to tell you what Kevin is. Kevin Stefanski describes himself as a faithful servant to the Cleveland Browns. Who do you know uses that terminology and that language about a job? He's not just holding Shedeur back because of his friendship with Dan Lanning. What did the owner say? He wasn't my pick either. The owner doesn't take care of his words. The owner didn't want Shedeur. Kevin Stefanski doesn't take care of his words. Kevin Stefanski doesn't want Shedeur. Faithful servant of the Cleveland Browns. And the way he treats Shedeur, he more than a faithful servant of the Cleveland Browns. The owners are incestuously close. I didn't want him, and no other owner has shown up for him and wanted him either. Kevin Stefanski is being a faithful servant and not just to the Cleveland Browns. That's his problem. And that's why he got to go. They are willing to lose, to die on the hill supporting Dillon. Right, and let him do it. Let him do it. Dillon Gabriel is a competitor for sure. He competed against the Browns extremely well. He gave the Eagles 13 points. That's facts. That's facts. That's what I said. How many points did Philly have? I think he gave Philly every point they had. Every point they had, he gave all of them. All of them. And the work that was done by the Browns were the kicker, punters, the kicking crew, the running back, and I guess the secondary guy. He gave away the game. And they asking who is better. Like you don't know what a passer rating is. But that's what they do. They try to prop these yards up. Oh, he went for 143 yards. Shedeur only 138. He was 14 to 23. Shedeur's, they try to look at the efficiency. I'm like, bro, excuse me. Hello. What does this say right here? Passer rating, 72.2. I don't even know who he's in company with, but I know who Shedeur is aligned with. Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. It don't get no better than that. And that's who you want to hold back because he's black. And I listened to that little skit one more time at the beginning when he said Shedeur was arrogant and cocky and all black. I only like Pat Mahomes half the time. Well, that half the time don't work for Spencer Rattler because I think he might also be half black. And you see how they treat him. So it works until it doesn't. But they did say all black. So for people that are asking, yes. And yeah, Dillon, somebody gonna pop him on the field. I say, you know what? I have no compassion for you. You get what you get going forward in these games. You played in a simulated game. You didn't even play in a real game. You played in a simulated game that you are not going to play in the regular season, which must mean they don't think he's going to make the field. But then there's the unexpected, right? Injuries. Look who's in front of him. You're going to get it because a lot of people didn't like that. And they're not going to have no sympathy for you because you shouldn't have said anything. You didn't even win. You didn't even score. And we were talking and they said Dillon Gabriel wins versus the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia. I'm like, see, that's why you don't prop people up like that. Because he was getting a little cocky and he wasn't even in a real game. He was essentially using a flight simulator. The coaches gave Dillon a pair of training wheels and bodyguards. Shedeur got trash cans. Yep, that's facts. Don't forget, Dillon Gabriel had mass protection. Yep, that's it. Shedeur had to play a football game, and he was set up by his own coach. Dillon and Kenny should be cut. That's your two? Okay. He can't see over the line of scrimmage. Right. Hey, Chocolate, how you doing? It said Browns will lose viewers if Shedeur is not on the team. Already happening. These AI videos is popping it out. Like, I don't know what they be doing, but they have a picture of Shedeur in a hospital bed like he got sick somewhere because he got injured. And they talking about all of the views that the NFL lost for the game. So Yeah, nobody's showing up to see Otis, and he better know it. Trade Kenny Pickett for sure. I think Huntley was just a camp arm. Yep, and they made him a camp arm last time. This is the second time they have done that to him, and he is better than Dillon. He deserves to be the fourth person on the roster if they have. And Pickett could go too because he injury prone. They could really roll with Shedeur, Flacco, and Huntley. Those are really the three they could go with. QB rating of 106.12, and your boy was 72. Yep. It says they don't care about losing views or games. They don't. They really don't. The Browns picked up Amari Cooper from Dallas when Jerry stalled contract talks. They also had Elijah Moore and Donovan Jones, Peoples, all within the last 2 years. Wide receiver room haven't recovered since. Yeah. Because they want to run the ball. They don't prioritize the wide receivers. I hope Shedeur goes somewhere else where he'll be appreciated and make money. Agreed. Shedeur is on his way to selling $500 million in jerseys. Yeah. That's why I know if he end up in Dallas, he gonna hit that mark. I know people could trade in their jerseys, but some people gonna buy another one. That's just how it's gonna go. That's why I'm like, if Jerry Jones don't get Shedeur, knowing that this is just money on top of money, that's how you know they colluded. Sometimes you got to give people a reason to say no. Pickett has no value right now. Yeah, and Dillon's in the toilet because no team is buying what the media in Cleveland is selling. They're afraid of the future lawsuits. They should be, but I don't think they are. I think they're a little bit. I think with the Brian Flores case moving forward, and he mentioned the quarterbacks, I do think that they are a little afraid of that. So who said that? I agree with you on that one. Irvin, I agree. So that's two. And the way they're playing with Shedeur, that's actually that Brian Flores case could be what gets Shedeur out of Cleveland. Mark my words. Mark my words. He mentions the quarterbacks. And look at what happened with Shedeur. And that's why I said the NFL was not expecting Flores' case to get the green light to go to a jury trial. They thought Flores was going to be forced into arbitration where we don't hear anything until it's all said and done. And they could spin it how they wanted to. The Browns borrowed Huntley. Yeah, it seemed like it. For the second year, when I think he deserves an opportunity. The Browns media has been quiet because they can't rationalize Dillon. Mary Cabot been over there asking questions. She said, the gunslinger, she said, who had the better game? The gunslinger, Dillon Gabriel. I'm like, the what? Or legendary, Shedeur Sanders. And they was just chewing her up in the comments. I didn't say anything because, I mean, it was a lot happening. So Dillon Gabriel, yeah, he's not good. He's not a good QB. He's a DEI hire. I agree with that. I agree with that. So is Tyler Shaw. Tyler Shaw is now, so is Jackson Dart, but I'll tell you the difference. Jackson Dart wasn't as far down the QB ranking list in the draft. He was actually fourth, somewhere between Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart. That's why he doesn't look as bad, but he has the same problem. Getting in traffic, the pressure. So they figured out their strategy was, okay, we're not gonna just have him do checkdowns because then they're gonna see through that, right? They don't have a dumb fan base. They would see through that, and they already saw him be bad. So they put him running in a 1 yard touchdown. Everybody was excited. A pass through the middle. Everybody was excited, and then some checkdowns, right? So starting with the checkdowns, going through the fast pass through the middle, and then running it in with the touchdown. And he got a lot of swag to him. So it's working. But again, let's talk about the competition. Martinez was a quarterback for the Jets. That is their fourth-string quarterback, and he was playing with fourth-string players. So while he was not as propped up as Dillon, they strategically chose plays that he could execute without turning over the ball. He be the hero and running instead of the running back because he's a dual threat. They want to show that off. And then the little quick pass to the tight end. So they didn't just check down him all the way. But Tyler Shaw, yeah, it didn't work out. And the one play he had, what they tried to do with Tyler Shaw is check down to get to almost to the red zone. At least on the other side of the 50, maybe to the 30, when you could have kicked the field goal. And he threw a pass. and Chris Olave couldn't hold on to it. So that was the end of that drive. And then they put in Spencer Rattler, and it was up from there. Watching Tyler Shaw play, the dome was just quiet. I was like, damn, it's quiet. And when they had Spencer Rattler play and he was balling, airing it out, touchdowns, they even showed kids jumping around, hugging on each other. I mean, the place was just lit. And I say, see, this with the NFL is going to screw themselves behind. They think they going to try to come in with these future classes to weed out the black quarterbacks, right? And only get them when they need them. Not all, but a lot of the later round ones. They just going to let them fall out, get undrafted, camp bodies, get cut, go to the UFL like it's a G League, and I'm going to get you over here for cheap with your talent. That's what they doing to Perkins. That's their plan going forward. So with that happening, I think these guys need to start their own league because, instead of having to go to Canada, they didn't just latched on to the G League. They didn't latched on to the UFL. So it's going to be like nobody going to get you. You're going to be a camp body, and then you're going to end up coming back to the NFL for next to nothing just because they don't want black quarterbacks to take over. That's their plan going forward. They already pushing down the black quarterbacks to the later rounds. The ones like Lenore Sellers. If he's the 5th prospect, they already got him in the 2nd round because 4 quarterbacks not going in the 1st round. And then when things started to change and people start talking about Shedeur and the Browns being racist, suddenly Lenore Sellers is making a meteoric rise to the number 1 pick with Cleveland having a number 1 pick. So that justification is Shedeur doesn't need first team reps because we're not preparing him anything. He's just trade bait. We're going to get Lenore Sellers next year. I'd like to see it. His dad should have took that money, stayed in school for 2 years, and these guys need to start their own league or just file a class action lawsuit. The coaching has a class action lawsuit, a fan class action lawsuit, concussions class action lawsuit. All of them have a violation of civil rights. It's time. It's time for the quarterbacks. It's too many of them that could do it and win. That's why it keeps happening because they're not fighting back. I would like to see them do it. But, we'll see. It's time. They're the only group that haven't sued. Even DeMaurice Smith is speaking out with his book Turf Wars. That's the NFL Players Association. So you got coaches, fans, NFL Players Association, and CTE. But the quarterbacks are the ones that are openly discriminated against and devalued over and over and over in the draft, pre-draft, coming out of college, and in their careers. They are the ones that are forced into being journeymen. Teddy Bridgewater should be playing on somebody's team. He's too damn good, and he was a 1st round pick. So Cam Ward, don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. When you're a black QB, that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, you're going to get paid, right? But first, you got to be there. They talking about restructuring Dak's contract. Then why did you give it to him then? Dylan Gabriel will be there, unfortunately. 12 will probably be better with a better organization. I'm not even sure who that is right now because nobody's asking for him. Don't believe that Shedeur is safe where he is. I don't. I don't think he is at all. Not with Stefanski. Not with Stefanski. Clan Lanning. Yep, I'm going to go with that. It said, I noticed Shedeur players believe in him and they perform well. Right. That's why I said, how long before Kevin Stefanski loses the locker room? 362 people. Hit the like button, please. Thank you so much. And we're this close. We're this close to 5,000. I think we're at 4,612 or something like that, or 8. Hit the like button for me. See if you can get me to, 4,700? Thank you. It says Shedeur need to go to Dallas. I said that's where he gonna end up. They making money off of him every time he switches team and sells jerseys. Right. Because people are gonna go buy another jersey. Dylan Gabriel jumps when he throws. I bet he does. I bet he does. Hey, Freeman, welcome. It said the constant stress and gaslighting is affecting Shedeur. You can tell he really doesn't want to be there. I mean, I think he's good. I think, here's what I think. Before the oblique injury, somewhere between the shoulder soreness and the oblique injury, I agree with you because I could see it. He wasn't happy. But when he got off that bus and he was going to be him, right? And I just feel like After he got injured, he might have got a little sad because, I don't think these guys, they feel like, people were saying, well, that was his opportunity to be, QB3. I'm like, no, it wasn't. They're not giving him no real opportunity. So what I think is he was, but as excited as he was when he came out of that, I guess it was the tunnel, I guess, when people were asking him questions or he was asking them questions, but they didn't have nothing to say, he was so happy. But I will tell you what, they look like the Avengers. Shedeur and Joku in the middle and Flacco walking out onto the field to warm up. They look like the Avengers. The way they were walking, I was like, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is your one and your two, Flacco and Shedeur. I don't care if Flacco start, especially if 74 on the team. I don't care if Flacco start. I know he's part-time though. So I don't know how you could move forward with him and then an injury-prone Kenny Pickett. And Dylan is a non-factor. 72% passer rating, and it's simulated. Keep that in mind. If you use a flight simulator, you're supposed to get it right. That's when you could take your chances and get out there and try some things. No, it was carefully controlled. It was manufactured, and he still failed. That's why I'm like, you know what? Go and put him out there because y'all just going to embarrass him, and y'all going to have to cut him. Nobody's going to want him. Nobody, no team is convinced that he's a supercomputer. The Shedeur disrespect started before the draft when the owner started recycling the old QBs. There you go. That's what I said. Moving them around when they started spreading everybody out. Even when Jerry Jones got Milton, when Vegas, that's why Vegas drafted Jetty. And he doing good, but Vegas got Cam Miller, right? He not bad, but they could have had Shedeur, but they got Geno Smith to block Shedeur. Derek Carr could have retired before the draft, and the narrative would have been they could get Shedeur as their QB2, but they already had Spencer Rattler and was discounting him. So you know what? I see why he didn't go there because they got to fix that situation. And today it was fixed. Now, I don't want to hear no talk about who the quarterback is in New Orleans. His name is Spencer Rattler, and he's black. That ain't what they wanted. They tried to avoid Shedeur, so they didn't get it. Spencer Rattler wears the number 2. Karma. See, that's what happens. That's what happens. See, they think they can control everything. They're going to have to fight with their fans over Spencer Rattler not starting because Tyler Shaw don't look good. Don't look good at all. They could have had Shedeur, but it's cool because Spencer Rattler does not need to be behind Shedeur. He can ball out. Teddy Bridgewater don't need to be second or third behind Baker Mayfield. He can ball out somewhere. They have a lot of black quarterbacks stacked up together. Malik Willis, yep. If they spread all those guys out, it's going to be about 30 of 32. There's a lot of players stacked up there together. The owners took him off the board and will likely block a trade. Right. That's why nobody's asking for a trade. They're not even going to allow. They don't even have to block it, Bridget. They're not going to allow it. That's why the media isn't doing trade scenarios for Shedeur because they know he can't get traded. He also couldn't get drafted until the unexpected happens. So let's see what the unexpected is that gets him traded or gets the fans getting the hell out of there or gets Shedeur to QB1. It's going to happen. I believe the owner's day is coming. Absolutely. If Shedeur is not QB2, then he needs to request a trade. For what? They're not going to let him get traded. You saw how they did him in the draft. They still colluding. Charmaine. Believe me, they are still colluding. What has this world come to? Total exploitation. Facts. It's all about the money. Hell, no, they ain't even want that. What did 47 say? Are y'all stupid? Do you know how much money they can make with him? Like they say, he on his way to $500 million in jersey sales. Yes, they divide that between 32 teams, right? But the TV rights, people, they said that was the most watched preseason game since 2015. I think that's what they said. He's a difference maker. He was right. If you're not willing to change the culture of the coaching, don't draft me. So they weren't going to draft him. He was going to end up in Canada. They was going to make him an undrafted free agent so he don't go to Canada. It said, I have gotten really bad vibes from Cleveland at this point. Just want him to leave. He going to be okay, but I see why. Because Kevin Stefanski and his clan aspirations. Deshaun Watson's talent was not worth 3 first-round picks, 4th round, and a 5th-round pick to Houston. This has set them back greatly. I don't think they had a choice in Deshaun Watson. They didn't have a choice in Shedeur. They didn't have a choice in Deshaun Watson. Pay attention to Cleveland and the quarterbacks that come there. What happens, especially when they black? Cleveland is a dumpster, right? How they get a new stadium? You can't get a new stadium with that type of, I mean, for what? I mean, I guess, so 64,000 people could come watch Deshaun Kaiser go 0-15. DTR get pummeled against Lamar Jackson. Don't be surprised if they push the door out there to set up and fail against one of them teams. Don't be surprised. And it's not going to be a white quarterback. It's going to be a black one. Just don't want to see him get hurt. I agree. I totally agree. It said get two out and away from this organization. Right. Barry is. Oh, Barry. Yeah. No. Yeah, I do think Barry's a token. I think a lot of the GMs are token because they have 9. And I think the NFL is like, no. We hire black people. We have 9 GMs. That's the highest position, like, before the owner. I'm like, but you tell them what to do. And it's crazy how Andrew Barry could supposedly have carte blanche to give Deshaun Watson $230 million contract that nobody else could get, but he can't even draft Shedeur. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. It said, yes, they're using 12 for money views. Network lost money. Yep. Shedeur is money. Yep. That's facts. That's facts. Shalom. How you doing, Latrice? Welcome. Sharon said, I heard that the top sponsors made a call to Goodell about the game ratings and people were not at the game. Now, somebody told me the game looked like it was sold out. I didn't watch it. Could y'all tell? Oh, I know what they said. They said the tailgating, that's where people were. I don't know if it looked sparse on TV, but they said the tailgating was lit because people bought tickets thinking Shedeur was going to play. When they found out he wasn't going to play, they kept their tickets and went to the tailgate area. And they say that was on and popping, and that's where everybody was. So the game might have been sold out, but it didn't look like it on TV because they left. They didn't want to watch it, but they couldn't do nothing with their tickets. I hope Dion steps up and says something again at this point. I don't know why that would work. I just expect Coach Prime to get a text message from Jerry Jones with a cowboy hat. Because I think they'd have fell out. That's what I think. I think they'd have fell out. Because this Milton thing, yeah. I was like, he make the same money as Shedeur. I'm like, that is not a coincidence. Jerry talking about what? I can't believe we have him on our team. I'm like, why? You went and got him to block Shedeur so you didn't have to pay him all this money. And it gives the appearance that this is strictly about devaluing Shedeur to get him for less money, which is unethical, and collusion is illegal in the United States. So they messed up with that. But the problem on the ground in Cleveland is Stefanski, the despicable way he treats Shedeur. That's the problem. And I said one of them got to go. Either Stefanski got to go or Shedeur got to go. Not that Shedeur is wrong. And I would hate how everybody's rallying around Shedeur and Kevin Stefanski be kept there. But if Haslam wants to spur on a congressional hearing or a lawsuit for organizational malpractice, then that's what's going to happen with Stefanski still there. Look at how hard they are trying to convince you that Dillon is a viable option. 72.2. The only weapon they have right now is the media that's willing to lie for them. But they're not convincing nobody. If people would rather be outside, bought tickets to go see Shedeur, didn't get to see Shedeur, still showed up, but was outside at the tailgate area, yeah, okay. Stefanski on borrowed time. Somebody going to have to pressure the owner. And the fact that they not getting the stadium deal through, they still have to comply with the Art Modell law. They losing in court. So a lawsuit come along. I mean, that'll shake some things up, right? That'll shake some things up. So let's see what happens when they name their starter, but who they cut. I know it's Huntley. I hate that it's Huntley, but it need to be Dillon Gabriel, Huntley, in my opinion. But Huntley's a viable option, but they're not going to give him the time. Look at how they're doing Shedeur. They should be able to use him and pay him pennies. I agree. I totally agree with that. If you are a 5th round pick I mean, they shouldn't be able to capitalize off of his jersey sales. He can't even pick his own jersey number. They gave him that. They gave that to him. And when people want to compare him to Tom Brady, they get upset. The Browns should take some of the blame. Absolutely. It said, who want to be treated like a first round? Who wants to be treated like a first round pick? Yeah, that's crazy. You mean like his real worth? It says this entire debacle is draining. It is draining. I'm like, ooh, I made a recording today. I said Cleveland Browns fatigue is real. It's really real. It really is. When I heard this, oh, Kevin will announce the starter. I'm like, bro, get out of here with the shenanigans. I'm like, at this point, I really don't care. I really don't. I'm like, I'm only watching y'all for Shedeur. Sue asked his dad to stand down. All he had to do is call and say, Dad, I need you here. Yeah, Prime will always drop everything. Facts. No, he wants to handle this himself. It says 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a fumble. Go Dylan. Right. And he talking cash money, trash, like he won some. Like him. Like he scored, he got out there and scored. At least Jackson Dart got his own touchdown. I'm like, everybody around you scored but you. And you gave away all the points to the other team. Like, be quiet. Let's be quiet. Screw the Ducks. Dan Lanning and Dylan Gabriel. Shedeur is our QB2 now. I'll take it. It said, I want them to let him go for real. I get it, Amber. I get it. It said this preseason proves to all the other teams that the Giants lied about Shedeur. Facts. The Colts, the Dolphins, and Dallas have to be taking a serious look at making Shedeur a backup. I'm gonna go with Dallas. Miami, I don't know what's going on down there. Other than I looked at the stats and it didn't look good. It didn't look good. I think that's why they sent Quinn Ewers down there because of Tua and his agreement with the NFL. He can't have too many concussions. So, but I think he might be third on the depth chart too. His numbers weren't all that great today either. I'm telling y'all, Dallas is Dallas. I mean, who else? What? Think about it. If there's a circle of collusion that's still happening, they're still colluding. Owners took him off the board. Jerry Jones was a part of that. They will be reversing course. There's only one owner that can initiate the reversal of the collusion, and that is Jerry Jones. Now, just like the unexpected happened in the draft, and they had a sense of urgency where they had to draft Shedeur because he wasn't gonna get drafted. That's what's gonna happen with the trade. They don't even talk about Shedeur being traded as an option, but he liked it there, so he's okay. As long as we see Shedeur in good spirits, he can ride this out. That's all I'm saying. He can ride it out. It's just Kevin Stefanski, I think, is the one you got to watch because his hatred is deep seated and it's rooted and it has nothing to do with football. And he feel like he's being a servant, which means he's being used to execute this plot against Shedeur. So you got to be careful, especially when you hear a grown man say about another grown man, a human being, we're going to have to put him down. You can't trust that. You can't trust that at all. Caleb wanted to go to the CFL, right? And how many times did he get sacked? Shedeur is on the opening page of the NFL shop. Yep, that's what we were talking about. It's the NFL makes way too much money to have this plantation nonsense. Yep, but that's what it is. That's what it is. I don't know where the wrenches are, but they are never in here when we need them. What are we talking about? Just drop the name of the person we talking about. Joe Schoen and Daboll alliance. Yep, I totally agree. Gail Billups said, block I am him. Okay. When I see him, I'll block I am him. And said, ask Saquon Barkley about those two. Right. They wasted his best years. That's why he said, if I retire, don't be surprised. And do that every single regular season game until Shedeur or Dylan is named the starter. Simple. Let's get the Browns to do it. What's that, Mike? Amber say F the Browns. Respectfully, I totally agree. It says, I don't have a problem with never watching the NFL again. That's how I felt today. I'm like, whoo, if it weren't for Shedeur, because all right, let's talk about Shiloh. Okay. So we watched the game, right? And Shiloh missed some tackles. Now I'm the believer of if he's only had this one bad game, and it wasn't the whole game, but it kind of was. He got another game, and then the last game he was good. So people are like, he got to absolutely lock in. And what they're saying the problem is that he's not wrapping up with his arms, right? So, but they got a lot of injuries. They do. They have a lot of injuries. I'm not gonna say they can't afford to cut Shiloh because they can, because they could go to the UFL and get somebody else too. I feel like when the NFL does that, it's making a statement, especially when the guys were holding out. Remember 40 players holding out? They dipped to the UFL and got players then. And remember, everybody didn't get what they held out for. Not even Shamar Stewart. So Shiloh, I don't know. I don't know. I know, the coach said he's good. People point out that Shiloh always is where the ball is, right? But he, for whatever reason, in this game, and I don't think it was just him. Personally, I think, the secondary struggled against a better team. Pittsburgh. They went to the playoffs last year. They didn't totally dismantle that team. So, I wish him well, but I can't tell you how I know how that just going to end. I can tell you why I don't think they're gonna trade Shedeur, because they can't. And two, uh they can't. That's why. They would have to waive him, like the little email said with the waiver wire. That's what that was for. That was to It was supposed to be he goes undrafted and he's a camp body, and they just waive him. But instead they had to draft him. And somebody had something to say about it, and they still care because they got heat coming their way, right? They got investigations happening. They got 2 lawsuits opening. They got about 3-4 million fans speaking up, and not just Shedeur Sanders fans, but people that don't like what's happening. So, and then you have this one lawsuit with the green light that they thought was going to be arbitration to go to court. So I'm seeing things put in place to try to not appear racist, right? I feel like that's what going to get Perkins was about, because they snubbed him. So, performative. So cutting Shedeur right now would not be a good look for the NFL. Remember what the email said. We're going to put you on waivers. If they even put him on waivers, I think people will revolt and say, see, they still colluding. The running backs too. Oh, yep. The running backs actually scored too. It said, I'm praying Shedeur get cut or traded from their terrible organization. Shedeur will be fine. I agree. I don't want I want guys' will to be done, because guys' ways are higher than ours, and Shedeur is already played in places he not even supposed to be, that they didn't want him to get to. So I think that's going to keep happening. That's why I say I just want guys' will to be done. And I think he's going to be okay too, because now, you got Flacco around him. I think the other players have seen the way Stefanski treats him. If I could see it, then they could see it. And I think that's why people are gravitating towards him. If Shedeur doesn't get any first team reps this week, we should boycott the Rams game. I hate to tell you, but people going to be watching that game for Shedeur. The Browns are determined to be terrible. That's what I mean. They're like an NFL dumpster. Like, one of the teams has to be a dumpster, and they get rewarded for it with a new stadium. Mike said, I'm born on 2-2. Oh, okay. Okay. It said, I hope the players step up and say something. If not, don't block that fool on the field. Like the players have already verbally and embraced Shedeur. I will say that. It's alleged that Dylan Gabriel, former coach, and the Browns. Yep. And that allegation is true. It's documented. Stefanski will be fired either way at the end of the season. He may as well coach for crash out for Dylan. You know what though? I said it. I guess he's gonna be a coach over there at Oregon with Dan Lanning. That's what it's gonna be. That's what he deserves. Just go over there. And I hope they crash out. See, they already lost their quarterback. I think they just jealous because Coach Prime got 3 quarterbacks, and they little quarterback that committed to them after they lost that playoff game, he bounced. So I don't know who they have. That Oregon does not have it as easy as Coach Prime as it seems. They don't have it as good when it. I know they get star players, but I mean, honestly, Colorado is now after Declan tore up the whole field. People like he is the mold. I said it. I said Declan Taylor is the mold for every running back that come to Colorado. I don't want to see nobody else getting a. This young man ran all over the field and ended up in the end zone. So now we're going after somebody. We made an offer to somebody that is a Louisville running back. Yeah, we turning up. We turning up. I'm convinced the NFL pays them to be bottom feeders. That's what I mean. They get rewarded. They get rewarded. That's exactly what I meant by that. They get rewarded with a stadium. 40 quarterbacks? 40? They said Miami isn't too much better when it comes to the quarterback rotation. They kind of bad with it too. The Bears was the second team with the most QBs. I said, well, the Bears are trash, so it makes sense. I was surprised by Miami, though. He would definitely die on that hill. Yep, he has committed to it. They say you are right. Any team that wants to would be using a pick for the offensive lineman. Right. If you really want to win, it said there was no excitement at all with Dylan Gabriel at the game. It said the team was so ho-hum. Yeah. Just like the Saints when Tyler Shaw was playing. But man, when Spencer Rattler got out there, I'm glad I watched that game. It said, did you see Stefanski, Ohio had during the meeting? He is sending a message. Okay. Stefanski better remember breathing is involuntary. I'm just saying, the Lord gives us breath, and Shedeur is a child of God, and that's who he is plotting against actively, daily. So he better watch himself. I'm like, God don't like ugly. And as y'all can see, God got Shedeur covered, to be honest. We be worried about him when we don't see him or when he don't look his normal. We be worried about him. But then he keep emerging, right? And then he keeps getting these angels on his path, right? Jalen Hurts. I said, okay, that's a guy's sin. And he needs to learn. It's not about your dad. That's what he gonna learn from the Jalen Hurts and the Russell Wilsons. And then having Tony to come along and what they doing, right? Calling him crazy Tony. That man is not crazy. He's an intellectual. That tells Shedeur they just don't want you to be yourself. They don't want you to be the cerebral, intellectual quarterback or this person. They don't want you to live out loud, right? So those two people right there were heaven sent, and there will be others. And now coming out of the locker room, see that right there with Shedeur in the middle? No, and Njoku in the middle with the two quarterbacks, the one and the two on the side, walking out, and maybe somebody slowed it down. They look like the Avengers. Shedeur looked like one of them, Flacco and Njoku, first team, etc. Right? So, we'll see. We'll see if they puts Stefanski on a leash until they get rid of him, because he is the one that's going to bring a congressional hearing or organizational management, because he's so public with his disdain or his disrespect for Shedeur. He can't even say his name. He can't even say his name. So, he can't even say his name. It said, did you see? So, yeah, I guess he recruiting. I don't know. I don't know what he doing. 49ers. What about it, James? That's the game you're watching, or they played Chicago? Hey, Byron, how you doing? How you doing, Byron? Y'all welcome Byron to the chat. Dylan had the Browns losing at halftime when he left. Right. And then they put Huntley in and didn't give Huntley no credit. Joe needs to show he can actually play. His training camp reps are not QB1 worthy. He's not played for a minute. I think he played last year for Baltimore, but again, half the season. So I agree with you. I don't even know if he was really trying. I think he's QB1 just based on he played for them in 2023. So, I agree with you. It said the teammates are afraid to say anything in reference to nephew. Facts. Though there are some that have spoken up. Myles Garrett was one, and y'all saw we had to learn about his speeding tickets. I'm like, well, why you didn't tell us he had 7? You told us he had 8. You worried about it now? You weren't worried about it when he got the 5, 6, and 7, but you worried about it now because he told Shedeur we're going to need you, because he publicly embraced Shedeur. That's what they do. Rule with the iron fist. Again, organizational malpractice, harassment, intimidation. That's what it falls under. Huntley won the game for the Browns. Yeah, that's just crazy. Trade Shedeur ASAP. Yep, a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. That's facts. It said possibly could it be the reason that the Cleveland loses games is because of the BS is being exposed. Stefanski is too comfortable. He's probably done this before. No, he has done this before. It said Coach Prime has connection with the Rocks League. Isn't that the UFL? That's what I was wondering. Isn't the UFL owned by the Rock, or is he owned another one? Because if the UFL owns the Rocks, he has aligned with the NFL. So I don't know how that will work now. I think it might just have to be Canada. Huntley. Yep, Huntley is actually better than Dillon. No one is trading for a 5'10" turnover machine. Exactly. I'm like, y'all not gonna convince another team that he's worth taking. Y'all shouldn't have even drafted him that high. I don't even know why they did that, to be honest. Like I said, they just must want to do a favor for Stefanski must want to do a favor for his buddy, because that makes absolutely no sense. It said he's not 5'10, he's about 5'7. I think they said he's 5'8. The locker room knew early who Shedeur was, the better QB. Yep. And the locker room knew he was being held back. Yep. When will Judkins come back? They said he done with the court system, right? They dismissed his case due to insufficient evidence. But now the NFL wants to investigate. They didn't even investigate Justin Tucker, but they want to investigate Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins was holding out on his contract. I'm sure that they want to try to use that to take his guarantees away. That's what all of the people holding out was about. If something happens, they can take away your guarantee. This player named Addison in Baltimore got a DUI. His contract is only $13 million over 4 years. He had to give up $5 million in guarantees because he was suspended for 3 games. I'm like, you're going to be working for them for free. By the time you get to year 4, you have basically given away 40% of your contract for being suspended for 3 games for DUI. That's crazy. So I don't know when he coming back. It said, come on, let me see the new Browns QB1 gonna be. Flip a coin. Whoever wins, start QB1. Then the loser start QB2. And then the winner QB3 and the loser QB4 every regular season game until the starter emerges. I guess that's about as much thought as they put into it when it comes to Shedeur. Deontay Camara for trying to ask Shedeur to pay for his number 2. What? DeAndre Carter? Is that who asked Shedeur to pay for his 2? Oh, wow. Shedeur said he's not buying that. Early in the week, Cleveland media will cover for Dillon. It said by Wednesday, reality will set in. By Friday, they will be in panic mode calling for Shedeur. Yeah, it's going to be interesting this week. My idea is the best so far. What, flipping a coin, Mike? It said, Bridget Maxey, to be fair, Johnson dropped or didn't catch passes from Shedeur too. He probably needs more reps too. Yeah, he just got back. I guess he used to play for them. I don't know why they just couldn't draft a wide receiver. You used the 3rd round pick on a QB that you knew wasn't better than the guy you was going to pay $46 million to. So, and you knew Shedeur was going to get locked out. So you knew what was coming. They knew what was coming. So I don't even know why they want to play this game. And that's exactly what it is, a game. It said The Rock is a publicity stunt. Nobody considers him a genuine friend, not even Kevin Hart. I think Coach Prime likes him, right? I think they like each other. Carter has his number. Yeah, his name is Andre Carter. I saw Shedeur talking to him when Shedeur was mic'd up. He was encouraging Shedeur. I thought that was cool, but give him his jersey number. So Shedeur will be 4th and no reps with the first team and support to start against the Rams. Everybody will be watching. And this week is supposed to be a dress rehearsal. Johnson is 16. Yep, Deontay Johnson. It said, what position is Carter? Isn't he a receiver? I feel like he's a receiver. Dylan Gabriel's 5'11". I Googled it. He looks shorter than that. He does look shorter than that. All right, Jizzle said he's a receiver. That's what I thought too. It said, I don't want to hear what Google says. He's not taller than me. Dylan made some enemies. I ain't not gonna lie. He should have said what he said. And everybody knew where it came from. And I don't know why he must not be very bright. Did you not really know that people would know where that came from? And he said, I was talking about the media. They weren't asking you about themselves. They were asking you about you, and you made a comparison based on what you do. So we know you were talking about a quarterback. And we know you've been listening to Stefanski and Dan Lanning. All the people in here saying 5'7" to 5'9". Look on Google. It said he's much taller than Shedeur, who's only 3 or 4 inches taller than me. What's up, chat? Hey, Alameen, how you doing? He's friends with Coach Prime and has the league. That's what I thought. Okay. Shedeur is 6'1" or 6'2". Facts. Shedeur is 6'2". It seems like a financial security for the worst players drafted high. What's that? Well, that's what Jerry Jones keeps saying. Something about when you draft a player and pay him a lot of money and something happens. That's why he hasn't signed Michael Parsons, but they say he's the problem. I don't see the fans holding him accountable. So, this is on the fans. This is for the fans to do. If Carolina fans could do it, then Cleveland fans could do it. It said Carter was actually being very decent to Shedeur. I agree. He probably thought what the negative people said about 2 was true. So he took his number to play with it. They gave him that number. He said he wanted the 2 to 5. They gave Dylan the 5 so he could get the 2. Did Dylan wear 5 in college? I'm thinking maybe he did. Shedeur isn't short at all. James said we haven't done QB musical chairs. When we drafted Cam Newton, it was a no-brainer. When we drafted Bryce Young, that was Chicago pick. We went up and got it. Chicago is bad too. I think it's Cleveland, this Chicago when it comes to quarterback revolving doors. It said they are not friends. The Rock went to see you for publicity. I think they friends though. I do think they friends because he showed up at Jackson State too. I mean, what better person though, Coach? I think they friends. That's just what I think. But it said they put Dylan in max protect, meaning 2 tight ends for extra protection on both sides to give him more time to throw. Right. Tyler is an injury prone pick machine. Yeah. That's that one is already a failure. I don't know what's gonna happen if they try to pull a Stefanski. Meaning, I know Shedeur is better, but we feel more comfortable with Tyler Shaw. I don't know if that's gonna work in New Orleans. They were so excited to see Spencer Rattler ball out. I don't think that's gonna work. See, again, it's on the fans. It's really on the fans. Even Jerry Jones came out and told his fan base to calm them down because they didn't like what was happening to Michael Parsons. Jerry Jones even came out and said, don't lose no sleep over that. Have you heard Cleveland or Stefanski or anybody try to let the fans know, hey, we got this, or this is not bad or whatever? Nope. In any other franchise, it would be a problem. That's why I think he went there. Travis Hunter is out with a shoulder injury. Facts. It said a total of 5 players are injured. Uh-oh. Hey, Salty Vet, how you doing? Shaw is horrible. He is. If y'all watch that game, I was like, this is bad. And when Spencer got it, I was over here cheering and screaming and everything. I was like, what? Yep, that's their QB1. They can't even deny it. They have 1 game left. Let's see. It says, since this city has refused to get 3 to 5 QBs disrespecting Bryce Young, he is our man and we rock with him. Okay, that's good. I knew Andy Dalton wasn't going to work out, so I didn't even need him to be injured for them to get somebody else. It said, oh, so that's why Dart looks so good and confident. Check downs, right. He didn't have a more than Dylan. Dylan had all the check downs. Dart had they were strategic with him, I feel like. 3 easy things. That's just the best way I'm gonna say it. He not reading through no progressions or nothing like that, no. But it made it, everything he did was easy. I would say he was on autopilot. I wouldn't say he was in a simulation. What they chose for him to do, they knew he could do. So they picked things, a series, 3 things at least, that they knew the fans would buy into. But again, it's the Jets. And it was their fourth team. Remember, Shedeur played against everybody, basically. So no first team. Shedeur supposedly 6'1", but standing next to Dylan, he appears tall. Everybody does. I think Shedeur is 6'2". I think everybody does, though. Everybody looks better than Dylan. It said everyone knows Dylan was talking about Shedeur when he said entertainer. Right. Like I said, the Browns won a game with him at quarterback. Everybody else scored. And he want to get out here and be cocky. I'm like, that's not going to work out for you. I'm like, you're not very bright. But that's what happened when you talk in front of children. They repeat. Their OC is drafting his son in the draft. Yeah, Nussmeier, right? I hope that worked out for them. Yeah, I was looking at who. I just wanted Spencer to get his opportunity because he was already there. And they were hyping up Tyler Shaw like he wasn't the 8th ranked QB. I'm like, when these players were ranked, it was based off of their talent and what they could do and their experience. For y'all just to come in here and say, forget all of this. I'm like, then why do you do the combine then? You might as well stop it. You might as well just throw it in the trash because you ignored everything. Tyler Shaw didn't look good at the combine. I saw he threw a pick to somebody. He threw a pass to somebody and was nobody over there. But yeah, that's his name, Nussmeier. It said Russell was good until he threw that interception. That ball immediately took him out. And that's fine. That's fine. Because they let Russell air it out. They didn't let Jackson Dart air it out. They know what they were doing. And all that ball is doing is hiding behind the fact that he said Russell's our starter. He know his fan base is going to push for Dart. So go ahead. And honestly, I don't know what the hell people thinking, because if Arch Manning is coming out of school in 2 years, what they going to do? Move Dart out the way? That's why they didn't get Shedeur, other than they didn't want him anyway. But I wasn't mad because I'm like, Arch Manning is coming out at least in a year or two. So I understood with them not getting Shedeur. But what they did to defame Shedeur so they didn't have to get him, I don't know why people thought they were going to get Shedeur. They've never had a black starting quarterback. That's how I know that ball is, we starting Russ, we're going to develop. He knows his fan base is going to push for it. And he's going to have to talk to Russ and say, Russ, we wanted to give you a chance. Russ only got a 1-year contract. They don't believe in him. They thought he was going to be the backup to Dart from the jump. They didn't even want him. They wanted Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers was taking too long, so they just signed Russ. And Jameis Winston is over there with QB3. So Dart going to make his appearance. Don't worry. Don't worry. So, but he's different from the other guys. He has more confidence in himself. But his problem is pressure. And again, if I pick easy stuff for you to do, a quick pass, because he was insulated by tight ends as well, because that's who he threw his check downs to. If I let you do a pass right up the middle to a tight end, the same tight end I let you throw a check down to, then that gives you confidence. And if I let you run in a 1-yard touchdown, then I'm just trying to make you look like the hero. Against the 4th string Jets, the quarterback was Martinez. He's 4th on the depth chart, and so are the players they played with. Those are camp bodies he played against. And they want him to start based on camp bodies. I'm like, well, then put him out there. Kevin Stefanski wouldn't let Shedeur air it out. He just wanted Shedeur to run the offense. Right, but that didn't work. Shedeur went over to somebody, they said, and said he wanted an air ball. Next thing you know, I know he got it. And he balled out. He balled out. It said Uncle Joe will get injured. Yeah, he got injured in 2023. I thought that's why they didn't bring him back. People were questioning, well, if Joe Flacco did so good for you in 23, why you didn't bring him back? I'm like, because he got injured. That's what I thought it was, because he wasn't available when they needed him the most. And they had a horrible season the following season. It was just absolutely horrible. I think they might have went 3-14 or something like that. Is Nussmeier the LSU QB? Yes, he is. It said Tyler Shaw fell down and he wasn't even throwing. Yes. I think he been anticipating the pressure. I'm glad somebody else saw that. That was crazy. I was like, is it the grace? That's exactly what I said. Is it the grass? There was nothing else. I was like, there was nothing else happening. I was like, okay. This dude scared to death he gonna get sacked. I'm like, Lord, it was nothing else. Oh Lord, that was crazy. And luckily they put in and they hurry up and took Trevor Lawrence out. They took him out fast. It said that's not the first sassy thing he said. Oh, to my Dylan Gabriel, it said he was like, post that on your Twitter when he finally threw a touchdown one day. Oh Lord. They done gassed him up and he riding high. I'm like, you didn't do nothing. You distributed the ball and everybody else had it done. Yeah, these people really sat down and talked about, well, yeah, we know they're not that good, but we don't want you to do up there. So just give him some check downs. Like the fans not gonna have a fit that this is boring. Oh my God, it was so boring. The Jaguars and the Saints initially, oh Lord, I was like, okay, this got to get better. I can't do it. I was like, let me look for Cameron Silver Craig and BJ Green. I needed a reason to watch that. And then Spencer Rattler came on and lit it up. I'm so proud of him. I don't even know who he is. I just know he was there last year, I think. And they doing the same thing to him, burying him on the depth chart. And he is a baller, just like Teddy Bridgewater. They doing that to all of these guys. The entire NFL is exploiting 12. He is money for the advertisers. Yep. And you would think. And somebody said that the sponsors got together and called Goodell. See, I felt like after the draft, I said, it's crazy that he got Nike and Gatorade. You would think they would be like, hey, we just signed him. You messing with my money. Really? Right? So, hopefully something shake. What about them on the O line, number 74? Just go with number 74, Miss Pamela. It said, we have an idea of the Browns plan. Watch God's plan. That's it. And Coach Prime already posted about that. He said something about, I think it was when Shedeur got the start. Because see, Stefanski waited to the last minute to tell Shedeur he was going to start. Trying to antagonize him, trying to make him wonder or whatever. That's why I'm like, bro, you doing too much. You doing too much. I'm like, you going to take this organization down by yourself. Your foolishness. I ain't the only one watching and realizing what's going on. Dylan seems like I know it all. You never see him with the veterans. I don't. That's because he always with his buddy Stefanski. That's because he always with his buddy. That's why we want him to go. He's not going to be abused and your cash cow. I agree. But I just want God's will to be done because I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. Oh my God. Then who is 74? Yeah, you got to look at 74. If you watch the highlights from like a full version of the game, 8 minutes, 12 second first quarter, the play where they were like on the 30, 40 yard line, somewhere between the 40 and the 30, closer to the 30, I think. Stefanski called the pass play. And that's when 74 blew his coverage and Shedeur got sacked. So yeah, we gonna see. I've been saying it is the coach. Yep, it's the coach. And see, it shows you, right? It shows you. And this is the kind of thing. Stefanski got to be fired for this right here. You have this many quarterbacks. If you had to get this many, that meant you weren't a good judge of something, talent, character, or something that you had to assemble this many people. And then when you have Shedeur, who's the best, hands down, right? And you out here talking about you feel more comfortable with Dylan. That means you knew Dylan was capable of this 72%, and you just don't want Shedeur. And then the fact that Dylan already proved himself with 160 reps with the first ones and went out there and bombed against the third and fourth stringers for Philly, and you still feel more comfortable with Dylan. Dylan hasn't proven himself, and you just want to go on preference because you're talking about your comfortability. God don't care about your comfortability. You're going to find that out. And then you discriminating against Shedeur because how is this a fair fight and he only have 100 reps? Dylan and Flacco were closer together because that's what Stefanski wants to happen. This is openly discriminated against him, and he did the same thing in the game. Set him up to fail and to potentially get hurt with that rogue play. So something is going to come of that. Something's going to come of that. Hey, everyone in the chat. How you doing? Yep, hit the like button. All right, we're going to get ready to get out of here. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, y'all. So 289 of us remain. Awesome, 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 awesome. We'll be back tomorrow. Turn your notifications on because we'll likely pop up midday. Some breaking news or just to talk about what happened early on in the day and after I log off. So like the latest updates. But we'll be back tomorrow night, guaranteed 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Lord willing. So yeah, we'll keep you posted. Turn your notifications on. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Or I'll see you during the day. Either one. Have a good night, everybody, or good morning, depending on your time zone. Peace out. This was awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.